Good afternoon, everyone. This is Woody Collins with Congo Helping Hands, and it's another episode of talking about Congo. We have a couple subjects that came up. Both of them deal with research and some interesting things about that we have seen. The first one is about the last Ebola outbreak, and also we're going to be talking about some research into COVID-19, what they're doing in the Congo. So that's going to be what we'll be talking about today. And I'd like to thank you, everyone, for tuning in again today. And so let's go ahead and get started. It's kind of brisky day here in Indiana, and standing in the sunshine, it really feels much, much better. But let's talk about our brothers and sisters in the Congo. Number one, there has been 11 outbreaks of Ebola in the Congo, and there was one that just ended in July and June. At the end of June, it ended. That was the 10th outbreak of Ebola. However, we've got the 11th outbreak of Ebola going on now in Western Congo. So one was on the east, the 10th one, and also the 11th one just started right as the 10th one was ending. But we're going to be talking about the 10th one. One of the University of uh, New York University uh, did a study on that outbreak, and they just released one of their reports. One of their reports, the first of three reports, that report talked about what was going on with the current and that 10th outbreak. And what they found out that it started a dual system, a parallel system with the health. Uh, so you had one health system that was dealing with Ebola, and that was the expatriates from all the U.S. organization and international organizations coming in to fight Ebola. And then you had the traditional, and I shouldn't say traditional, the national health system that was uh, that was already in place. But instead of working jointly together, the Ebola foreign people, they worked more alone for whatever reason. And I think the one of the reasons that I've gleaned and thought about so far was this was the first Ebola outbreak after the big one that we had that was in Sierra Leone, Liberia, that killed over 11,000 people. And so now the international community looks at Ebola as a threat to the international world. In the past, they've had, like I say, this is the 11th Ebola outbreak. All the other ones only kill, maybe 30 people in different areas. However, it never reached outside of the country, and it never reached the United States. Whereas, if you remember, we had two cases and two deaths in the United States as a result of that Ebola outbreak that was in 2014, uh, because the people flew over to the United States, was going back home, and so forth. And also, we had a doctor, but he was recovered from it. So now everybody, and also it went up into Europe. So now, whenever there's an Ebola outbreak, you have great international interest in it because Ebola was considered a neglected tropical disease, like malaria. We don't worry about the malaria and those type of things. Typhoid, it didn't, register with us. Now all of a sudden, I think most of you have heard of Ebola because when it came to the United States, it was a big subject, and everybody was scared, and they started doing contract tracing on how the people got to the United States and all this kind of stuff. So so when it broke out this time, and this was the first outbreak since that time, people really, the agencies say, hey, you got to get in there and stop this because we know that it could arrive in our doorsteps within a few days. So they poured billions of dollars into it. And instead of integrating with the national system that's in Congo, they set up a separate system. They had their own forms for vaccination. And of course, they were only in French and Swahili, where if you understand the languages of Congo, Congo has about 200 and some dialects. And so the people couldn't even understand what they were signing. And so there was a reluctance to doing that. And all of a sudden, all these people showed up in their villages and asking all kinds of questions. They were reluctant. So as a result, 11 health workers was killed. Uh, they just saw them as a threat, and they killed 11 health people who had came there with the thing. So therefore, right now, the U.S. embassy, the ambassador, and a couple of the European ambassadors, in a prelude to this report, they went and said that what we really need to do is strengthen the health system of Congo so that they can be prepared to support an Ebola outbreak or to arrest an Ebola outbreak versus the outside coming in and running around doing their thing. So that's the gist of what is going to be said. I don't know what the second and third report is going to be said, but it was just kind of interesting to me is that now that Ebola is one of those things that we see as a threat to our health in the Western world, in the United States and Europe, now they really rally around it and supported it with over $1 billion uh, to 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 try to get it arrested. However, it still killed over 2,000 people were killed in it, and that was mostly due to the militia was fighting, also a reluctance upon the villagers to answer questions or to be supportive of this because there was a lot of foreigners that was really working with it. Even though it came out that the foreigners, these foreign government, foreign NGOs, they hired a lot of the local people and the local doctors and help. So you had the situation where they caught on and they hired some of the local health officials. However, those that left their other clinics not staffed, and so all of a sudden you had people, running after the money that was being paid by these NGOs, and they were leaving the people vulnerable. And that's one of the same things I heard about this COVID that's going on in one of the countries in Central America, where that now there's no medicine, there's no people in the clinics to support, say, let's say a broken leg or anything, because now they're all out, trying to stop the COVID-19. So that's the first part. And so we'll go ahead and talk about COVID-19 and what the Congolese have decided to do. They have decided to join another group of African countries and coming up with a herbal uh, uh, cure to the COVID-19. And they have already distanced themselves away from the Madagascar, where the president of Madagascar came out early on and said, "Oh yeah, we got a cure to this COVID-19 and this blah blah blah." And of course, he died. So what they're saying now is they're making sure that they're saying, "Hey, we are not going to be using the same protocols that they did not use to try to test medicines and stuff like that." So it's kind of interesting from the standpoint, and it would be great if if we can find a herbal medicine that will cure the COVID-19, because then it will be advantageous, because they can take this herbal medicine anytime they need it to, versus trying uh, to do immunization of a vaccine throughout the whole continent of Africa, throughout the whole world. We're talking about, we got billions of people now that need to be evacuated, vaccinations, and so therefore, a herbal cure would be a lot better. So those are the things that was on my mind today, and I'm really interested in both of those. I'm going to be looking at the second and third report that comes out of this Congo research group, and also uh, to see what else is gleaming out of that. But it's just a warning that we should not, even though it's a threat to us, we need to work with the local people so that they can arrest it and build up the health systems in those countries. And finally, repeating the herbal medicines, we see a lot of that going on around the world, that there are plants that can possibly be effective against different viruses, that cause these plants boost our immune system and they could be effective. So we look for hopefully some good results out of it, and people don't turn away from it and everything. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And this has been Woody Collins with Congo Helping Hands, and another episode of talking about the Congo. Thank you. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you on Saturday, though, at 3 o'clock for another episode.